Good evening, my dear brothers and sisters. Today is June 20th, 2008. We are having our regular meditation session. How are you today? I just back on Wednesday evening after 12 days giving lectures in America. And this time very successful in few retreats, few public talk, and visiting few patients. And everywhere I go, there were a lot of supporting, lot of Vietnamese Buddhist community practicing diligently. When I see that, it's nourished my practice, it's nourished my path a lot. Whenever we feel unwell, deeply in our mind, in our heart, and one of the ways that we can heal ourselves is to do some chanting. Because every time when we do the chanting, we sit quietly. That means we try to calm our body. And when we use our, instead of talking, instead of blaming, instead of argument, and we use the time to do some chanting, to read some teaching of the Buddha. And then instead of sit there and wonder our mind about the past, about the future, or thinking about the things that you and that person have argued, and that make you more anger, that make us more unhappy. So instead of that, we can use our mind to focus to the chanting, to the teaching of the Buddha. We purified our body, our speech, and our mind by doing the chanting. Every time when we do the chanting like that, we have a chance to reflect ourselves. For instance, when we are doing the chanting about beginning anew, and in the chanting, they say that sometimes we get mad at each other. We don't want to look at each other. We don't want to talk to each other. We ruined our happiness by thinking about the past, worry for the future, and we totally forgot that we are living in the present moment. And every time when we are reading like that, it's like a bell, a mindfulness bell. Awake our mind, awake our heart. And sometimes we are a living being, but we live in the dream. We have no joys at all. We have a small dream when we sleep already, but sometimes in daily life we have no awakening also. We have no awareness when we live. We have no recognition when we still alive. So that's why the Buddha sometimes call we are alive, but we walk in a dream. This life is like a dream already. Things already impermanent, but we totally live along with that impermanent. We don't recognize because they are impermanent. That's why we need to live deeply in each moment. We need to transform. Our responsible in our daily life is to take time to reflect ourselves. 2 days ago, there was a lady, just when I come back, and there was a lady called me and asked me about meditation. And she said that, Thay, is that right when we sit and we try to clear our mind? And I sometimes heard you sitting and thinking about something. I said, when you have nothing to do, just sit and enjoy your breath. So when you sit there, you are working with your breath. But if you have something to think about that, instead of letting it become your boss, now you use that situation to become the object for your meditation. When you have some problem with someone, find some time and sit down and reflect the situation. Why it's happened? What did I say? What did that person say? And what can I do to make the situation better? So when you sit down and you focus on that situation, that time can be called meditation, because you meditate on the situation that you are dealing with. And when you can find out the solution, when you can find out the roots of the problem, and that is helpful. The time you sit there is helpful. So meditation doesn't mean you just sit there and clear your mind. You clear your perception, your wrong perceptions. You clear the things that not necessary for you to think about. But when you have a thing to meditate, you should meditate on that. So if you have nothing, you also think. You think about your breath. That means you follow. When it is breathe in, you know this is the in breath. When you breathe out, you know this is the out breath. But when you have something, you need to working on that. Use that as the object for your meditation. So meditation doesn't mean you just sit there and do nothing. When the Buddha was sitting, the Buddha thinking about the conditions of all nature, of all things, and the Buddha enlightenment. So each day, sometimes we have a thing to think about. We meditate on that. When you can find the way out, the way to solve your problem, the way to end your suffering, you enlightenment. In our daily life, especially right now, we have a lot of things that we deal with. If you go to work, sometimes you need to deal with your boss, your manager, your supervisor, your co-worker. Sometimes you have to deal with your spouse, your children, a lot of things that you need to working on. So every day we need to spend some time to calm our body, to calm our mind, to calm our speech. And if you are unable to do anything, you can do the chanting. Like just a few minutes ago when we evoke the Bodhisattva's name. And if we put all our hearts into the reading, and if we sit still and we're listening deeply, and only for evokings, we learn and we a lot from that. We see a lot of things on that. Because these are the 4 things that we need to do every day. We need to practicing on listening. We need to practicing on caring for others, caring for us, caring for others. We need to use the sword of our wisdom in order to cut off all the suffering, the ignorance, the hatred, and the greed. And especially if we don't know how to do those, we create the hell for ourselves, for our family. And we imprison ourselves, we prison ourselves. And we have no way to go out. And we're just begging for help. When we suffer, we're just begging for help. We just ask for a helper. But sometimes hopeless. Because nobody able to help us unless we need to put our hand into the practice in order to transform the suffering. When you look at the Buddha's image, you see that they always make the Buddha look down or close their eyes. Closing their eyes or look down stand for a practitioner always go back and reflect on themselves. Instead of open your eyes very wide and look around, now you look halfway down or you close your eye, stand for reflecting back to yourself. And that is one of your main practice. One of our main practice is to go back, reflect ourselves. We need to cultivate mindfulness or our high recognition in our situation, ourselves, our family, and our society. We need to see what's wrong with ourselves, what's wrong with our family, in order to find out a way to help. We cannot only asking the Buddha to help. That is only the supporting. But we are the one who need to do that. We cannot ask anyone. And the rest of the people surround us, they give their hands into their supporting us. And the Buddha taught us there are 4 ways to protect our family, to be healthy and happy. In the word healthy, they have the word heal. Heal means to cure. So in order to make ourselves healthy, we need to heal. We need to heal ourselves. In order to make our family healthy, our family situations healthy, we need to find out a way to heal. And the Buddha gave us 4 ways to heal our family, to make our family more healthy, to make our family, our society, our situation more healthy. And the one is, we know how to find back what has been lost. Sometimes we lost our love. Sometimes we lost ourselves because of our anger. We just using a lot of words, a lot of actions because of our anger. We need to go back and realize what we have lost. In the past, our family is not like this. It's more happy. It's more healthy. And sometimes, and we don't know why. This afternoon, there was a man who called and asked Thầy for help. He shared with me, he said that they were married for 7 years. They have 2 kids. They have a very successful business. And in the past 7 years, sometimes he did not pay attention to his wife's feeling. He just spent a lot of time on lottery. He played football. And he lose a lot of money. And once a while he drink, and after he drank, his wife sometimes use very hard words to him, and that make him very angry. Just a week ago, he cannot control himself, so he hit her. He beat her up, and she called the police. And now the police give him the letter that he unable to see, to talk, to get closer to her for more than 10 days. And he told me that one day he lived in the jail. One day he stayed in jail for 24 hours. And he have reflected about himself and the situation of his family in the past 7 years. And he realized that he has been a lot of bad things to his wife, to his family. He did not use the time meaningful. He did not use the money meaningful. He did not use his happiness. He did not know how to enjoy his happiness meaningful. He just let all of his negative happiness happen in the past 7 years. Now he want to find back. He want to find back what he have been lost. He did not know how to appreciate his wife. And his wife told her friends she want to do that, to give him a lecture. But sometimes you want to correct, you want to fix something. But unluckily, sometimes you have the friend around. They do not give you the right guidance. They just say many negative things about your situation. Sometimes we need to learn how to listen deeply. Because some of the advice, they are totally doesn't help at all. So we have lost our peace, our joy, our happiness. And sometimes we really want to gain back, but we don't know how. So practicing the Buddha's teaching will help us to see clearly what can we do to gain back what we have lost. And only mindfulness can help us that. If he doesn't mindful enough about how hard he worked to gain money, and he just using his money useless like that, and nobody can help. He cried on the phone and he said, Thầy, if you can call my wife and talk to her, give me back a chance. Give me a chance. And I told him I am not guaranteed about that, because I haven't met her before. We don't know each other. They just listening to some of my Dharma talks, and he called me for help. Between me and him, I don't know him either. I don't know his wife either. But he told me that I think my wife have a respect for you, and maybe she will listen to you. Sometimes we have lost a happy day easily. Maybe when we wake up, we have a very positive thinking about that day. Unluckily, we go to work, we see something, we meet something, it makes us angry. And for that whole day, we don't gain anything. And at night or the next day, when we reflect back, we realize we did not have a happy day yesterday. So that means we need to find back what we have lost. Very easy to lose the energy of happiness in that day. Very easy to lose the energy of peace, of joy in us. Easy. To gain something positive, hard. But to lose something, very easy. Yesterday, there was a lady who came and helped in the kitchen. She need to use a lot of time to do some grabbing for the food. The samosa. Lot of work. And sometimes she have to do, day by day to prepare like 1,000 or 2,000 pieces. And she said, and one of the men sit next to her say, lot of work. And she said, oh yeah, a lot of work, but when we eat very fast. And I passed by and I said, that is not the only one. Many things in this life have been like that. You gain something, you collect something, you build something very hard. You need a lot of time, you need a lot of effort. But when you want to demolish something, you want to ruin up something easily. The relationship between us and the others, we want to build up very hard. But you want to cancel that relationship easily. Sometimes between you, because between us and that person, and sometimes with a lot of people around, they don't give us the right support. They don't give us the good advice. They just give us a lot of negative encouragement. To find back a material life easily. If you lost money, you can find back by working. But the relationship, the communication, the love between you and others, to gain back, it's quite hard. You need to put a lot of work on that. And please, the one who have the good intent to rebuild something, we must give them the chance. We must give them the time for them to correct and to fix. There was a father who was unable to talk nice to his daughters. And they have a very big distance between the father and the daughters. And one day I came to their family and we all sit together and we solved the problem. And the father made a vow to open his heart more, to understand his daughter more, and to talk to his daughter more softly. And one day he come back and he speak with a very soft voice. And the daughter very angry. Do you know that's fake? She yelled at her father. And the father told me about that. And I talked to the daughter. I said, even that is fake. But he have put a lot of effort to try to say that to you. You should give him a chance. You should give him time to do it, because he never talked to you nice like that. The first time he talked, it doesn't look natural. It doesn't hear like natural. We can hear that he have tried to say that. But better than nothing. Better than he is not trying. So sometimes I talk to the kids, I say, I like to see you try. Better than you say, I cannot do it, and you don't do it. When they go to school, even they cannot make a good mark, but we still like to see them make a try. Think about that and try. When we do our exam, we have multiple choice. The teacher never liked us to leave a space. The teacher always encouraged us, if you don't know, just take a good guess. But never give it blank, because you will lose your mark. You show your teacher that you did not pay attention to your work. You don't care about your exam. And who knows, maybe so lucky you make a good guess. You get some mark on that. When I was in school, my teacher told me that. And sometimes I cannot understand the problems for solving. They said, just do your best. Whatever you understand, just write down. They still like us to try and do our best. And I learned that. So since I grow up and I ordained as a monk up to this moment, I put everything I decide to do, I will put all my attention to that. And if anything that I feel that I cannot make it, I will invite someone to be the main person to do that. And I just sit beside, stand beside and support. And learn from them. Something have been broken, we try to fix it. We try to fix ourselves, we try to renew ourselves every day. And that is why we like to use the term beginning anew. Vietnamese call tu, T-U, tu. Tu means practice. Tu means cultivate. Something you have not yet attained, you will cultivate to do that. Tu means to fix. And if you don't knowing what's wrong, how can you fix? How can you fix yourself if you don't know what's wrong with yourself? How can you accept the medication? How can you accept the treatment from the doctor if you don't know what's wrong with your body? Unless you accept and you find out you have been sick. What kind of sickness? And then you start to accept the treatment, accept the medication. So the second way that the Buddha taught is to fix. It's not been totally broken yet. Or it's not been totally, you do not lose it yet. You still can be fixed. Try to fix it. When you are cooking some steamed rice, and if you don't know how much water you put in, you put too little, and when the rice cook, it's not completely cooked. What you can do is you use a chopstick or the spoon to put the rice, stir the rice up. Using some hot water, slowly put some more around the rice, into the rice, and then cover the lid and then press, cook again. 5 or 10 minutes later, the rice will be cooked. And if you cook the rice on the stove by accident, underneath of the pot, some rice has been burned, and it gives you the smell, the smoke of the rice, you cannot eat. And one of the way to fix it, put the metal fork into that steamed rice, and the fork will suck out all the bad smell of the rice. That's how you fix. There was a man in the state. He is very hard with his wife. Every day his wife cooked for him, and none of the meal that he have a good feeling about her wife's cooking. He have something to say about. Too salty, too salt, too sweet, too plain. Always have something to say about the cooking of his wife. She told me, more than 30 years. Every day she cooked. She have to cook with her tears. She cry every day. One day he listened to one of my talk. I talked about fixing. I said, if accidentally your wife's cooking something too salt, put some lemon, squeeze some limes into that bowl, and then it's fine to eat. If it's too salty, add some hot water in. If it's not salty enough or not sweet enough, put some more salt, soy sauce. There are ways to fix. Don't give so hard time to your loved one. Since he heard that, he practiced. And this time when I came, they both came and see me. And she held my hands and she shared with me about our story, about And he also confessed. Thay, for many years I have been doing that to my wife. But since I'm listening to one of your talk about fixing, and I try, and I said the practicing Buddhism is add or subtract. Sometimes you add something in, sometimes you take out something. Life is better. You know the word TU, practice? Practice means liberation. But you put this accent in, it becomes tu, it means prison. If you know how to practice, you will be free. You don't know how to practice, you in prison. Tu. Life is only one accent. If you put a wrong accent, you ruin your life. And you need to fix. Chinese writing is the same. Sometimes you miss one character, one slash, become a different word. And I think English also the same. You want to be happy, and you want to be happier. Just drop a Y at IER. You don't want to be happy, just put UN in the front. Your life will be changed. Unhappy. So after you heal yourself, you be healthy. THY. Add together with the word heal, become healthy. So practicing is like that. Practicing means we know how to find what we have been lost. What we have been, broken. But if you are the good practitioner, a good wife and a good husband, please give your loved one a chance. If you see them, they have a good intent to change, allow them to do that. I have talked to many teachers. Sometimes we share about the problems that we need to work with the children. And sometimes we have to deal with very difficult, very hard children. And not because of that and we throw them away. We ignore them. But we try to do something else. And sometimes in front of us, after that problem, they promise they will change, they will fix. But deep in our heart, we know something will be happen to this kid again. Because the kid, sometimes they have been in a very hard situation for a long time. They live in a negative environment long time. We need to take time to help them. So the word compassionate, loving kindness in Buddhism is very powerful if you want to do something for others. If you really love that person, please give that person a chance. I talked to this man this afternoon. If you really love your wife, and I hope that after today, after this situation, you will do something different. Do you know that? I asked him, do you know that? I need to go to collect each of the empty bottle to sell, to make some money for the monastery. You spend 200,000 for one football game only. And he had lost a few times like that. He said, Thầy, I have everything. I have a very successful business. I have few expensive vehicles. I have everything. But now I don't want to lose that. But before, nothing happened. He didn't see that. Now he started to afraid he will lose everything. So just you can see that people work so hard, but they don't see how valuable that they need to use the money right. In order to help, the third way that the Buddha taught us to moderate our daily life consuming. Not only the food, but everything we need to moderate. We need to balance our life. Our lady who has been working so hard, 7 days a week, more than 10 hours a day, no time for the children, no time for the husband. And now the doctor told her that she has cancer. And she cried with me. She said, now I want to go back so I can, slow down my work. I can spend time with my kid, my husband. Before I didn't see that. 2 years ago, I read a newspaper. And there was a man who also working like that, working so hard for his family. At that moment, they just thought they don't do anything wrong. They gain money for his wife, for the children. But guess what? When we don't have health, when we are sick, money cannot do anything. I told that lady, you go to work a lot to gain some money, to buy medication, to keep you in good shape, good health. For what? For continue to work. You go to work to gain money, to buy medicines, for you to go to work and continue like that all the time. Sometimes we need to reflect. And we need to practice the right livelihood, the right action. And the 5 mindfulness trainings are very basic. They are the foundations to build the happiness. They are the foundation to help our family. And if we do not know how to moderate our life, to balance our life, a lot of things will be happening. And that is the reason why you look at the altar. Sometimes we always have 2 things on 2 sides. 2 fruits, 2 flowers. And if you have one, then one side is the flower, other side is the fruit. Always have something on the altar. What is that meaning? That is the meaning of balance the life. The altar stands for your whole life. You learn from impermanent. You learn from coming together like a flower. That is the reason why we arrange the flower. You need to reflect yourself all the time. That is the meaning of the candle, the light. You need to build up the good fruit all the time. That's why you see the fruits always in a high plate. When we decorate the fruit, when we arrange the fruits, put a high. Fruit stand for the good fruits. Good seed, you receive good fruits. The incense stand for the morality. In daily life, if we don't have the morality, we cannot do anything for ourselves, for the family, and for the society. Without the morality, we look very bad. So the morality stands for the incense, because the incense gives us the fragrance. A person who have been practiced, but looking at them, you still can feel peace and joy. Sitting next to them, you feel happy. Talking to them, you feel safe. You feel that you can learn something from them. Looking at the way they walk, you already feel peace already. They don't walk fast, but they look very solid. Us, we run all day, but nothing happens. They walk slowly, but everything is possible. Why? Because when they can slow on their walk, on the step, they will slow on their action. They behave, and they save a lot of situations. The one who speaks soft and slowly, and because they used their mindfulness to reflect on the words that they use. But sometimes we are very talkative. We talk whole day, but nothing. Nobody can learn anything from our talking. Talk less doesn't mean you less talk. But you don't talk, anything is useless. We will talk, but each of our words we use can bring the light of happiness to others. So we learn 4 ways from the Buddha. Find back something we have been lost. Fix something that has been broken. Moderate our life. It means balance our life. And practicing the morality. And the very basic one are the 5 mindfulness trainings. Tomorrow we have a mindfulness day. We have 10. So I hope that the Sangha will be here tomorrow. We will have a day together. Hopefully the weather tomorrow is also beautiful. Raining? Not bad. Hot. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you enjoy your weekend. We talk about chanting. So I hope that you can find a CD of chanting. Each of us, we encourage to have at least one chanting at home. And you can find a book of chanting. So whenever you feel that you need some healing by chanting, find a spot, find some quiet time, sincerely do the chanting. When we do the chanting, doesn't mean we report to the Buddha. But every single we chant, every single word we chant for ourselves. We water ourselves by the chanting, because all the chanting, the words are beautiful. They give us a lot of support, a lot of reflecting. A lot of, in Buddhism we have a lot of chanting. It depends on what situation that you are doing. But this is the general one. These are the general one. Lot of one. Because sometimes you can do the confession one. You do the chanting for the diseased. You do chanting for supporting the sickness. Lot of chanting. Yeah. And especially like in the lunar 7th month of lunar calendar, we are gratitude and honoring our parents, and there are specific chanting for that celebration. So a lot of chanting. It depends on what kind of chanting you like. But this is the very general one. Yeah. Sometimes it relates to the culture too. Yeah. Because we need to use the word that Chinese use, Vietnamese use. So when they read it, they can understand and they can feel in their own language.